Have you ever been driving down the road, minding your own business, when suddenly a massive, brand new, gleaming machine pulls in front of you? The kind of truck or SUV that looks like it costs more than the average person's house? You know the one I'm talking about. Chrome everywhere. Seats that probably cost more than someone's monthly rent. A dashboard that looks like a spaceship. And, of course, a monthly payment that could make a mortgage lender cry. But here's the part that truly blows my mind. The person driving it probably makes less money than you. So how is this happening? How are ordinary people, teachers, office workers, mechanics, retail workers, driving cars with price tags that should be mathematically impossible? My name is Quinn, and welcome back to Quinn Invests US. I spend way too much time digging into how people think about money and why so many make decisions that quietly sabotage their future. Today we're talking about one of the biggest, most normalized, most financially destructive traps in modern America. The car payment nobody can actually afford, but everyone somehow has. Before we break down the system behind it, let's start with the shocking numbers. The average new car payment in the US has climbed into territory that would have been unthinkable just one generation ago. We are talking about payments that now exceed what many people pay for housing. And yet people sign these contracts every single day with a smile, convinced this is normal and manageable. But here's the twist. None of these people are secretly wealthy. They're not sitting on trust funds. They didn't win the lottery. They're not crypto millionaires. They're regular working people with regular incomes. Exactly the kind of people who should not be taking on payments like this. So how do they do it? And why does it feel like everyone is suddenly driving luxury vehicles while simultaneously complaining they can't afford groceries? Let's start with the raw truth most people never hear. The average new car payment has passed $700 per month. That's not for a luxury car. That's for a standard everyday new vehicle. But it gets even worse. When you look at the larger trucks and SUVs that most couples want, payments over $900 a month are common. And it's no longer unusual to see payments in the $1,200 range for 6, 7, even 8 years. Let me repeat that. $1,200 every month for 8 years. Now add insurance, add gas, add maintenance, add repairs. It's not just a car, it's a second mortgage. But the real question is, how are people with average incomes managing to sign contracts worth $80,000 plus over the life of the loan? Because if it feels mathematically impossible, that's because it is. To understand how this happens, we need to look at how car financing has transformed. Once upon a time, car loans were 3 or 4 years. You paid the car off, you owned it, you moved on. But those days are long gone. Today, lenders stretch contracts 6, 7, 8, even 10 years into the future. This single change has completely reshaped the psychology of car buying. If you stretch a loan far enough, a wildly unaffordable car suddenly appears reasonable. A $1,500 payment becomes a $900 payment. A $1,200 payment becomes an $800 payment. And in America, if the monthly payment looks doable, people will sign anything. But here's the catch. These extended loans dramatically increase the total amount people pay. For example, someone who finances a $60,000 vehicle over 8 years might think they're being clever because their payment is only $900. But that extended term means they'll pay well over $14,000 extra, simply because they wanted the monthly payment to look smaller. And even worse, by year 5 or 6, the car's value has plummeted. Modern vehicles lose value rapidly, especially in the early years. So by the time someone is halfway through their 8-year loan, their car is often worth thousands less than the amount they still owe. This is known as negative equity. And it traps people in a financial nightmare. Because once you owe more than your car is worth, you can't sell it without writing a check of several $1,000s. You can't trade it in without rolling the old debt into a new loan. And that is exactly what millions of people end up doing. They get bored after 3 or 4 years, or the car starts having little issues, or they see something shiny on the lot. So they go back to the dealership, still deep in negative equity, and the dealer simply rolls that old loan balance into a brand new one. And just like that, the cycle repeats. People end up paying for cars they no longer own while simultaneously paying for new ones. It's financial quicksand. Every step you take pulls you deeper in, but extended loans are just the beginning. The next psychological trick is the seductive offer of 0% APR. You see the banners everywhere. 0% interest. No money down. Dealers make it sound like they're giving away free money. But here's the truth. Dealers don't want you to understand. The cost of that loan is already baked into the price of the car. You either get a discount and pay interest, or you get 0% interest and pay full price. Nobody gets both. Plus, most people don't qualify for 0% anyway. Only buyers with excellent credit scores do. The same people who don't need help in the first place. For everyone else, interest rates on long-term car loans can be shockingly high. Combine that with rapid depreciation, and you get a financial disaster disguised as a shiny new truck. But the biggest trap the industry uses is the trade-in cycle. It works like this. Someone buys a car with a 6 or 7 year loan. After a few years, they want a new one, but they still owe more than the old car is worth. So the dealer helps them by rolling that leftover debt into a new loan. Now they're paying for 2 cars at once, the old one and the new one. Dealers absolutely love this. It creates lifetime customers who can never escape. And this is why it seems like everyone is driving a $70,000 truck. Not because they can afford it, but because they've become trapped in a cycle of never-ending payments. But how did society get convinced this is normal? Marketing. Decades of psychological manipulation have convinced Americans that your car equals your identity. You're no longer buying a vehicle, and you're buying status. You're buying the fantasy of freedom, adventure, luxury, success, sophistication. Car commercials sell dreams, not transportation. That truck climbing mountain cliffs? You'll never drive it there. You'll drive it to Costco and sit in traffic. But that fantasy gets people to sign contracts worth tens of thousands more than they should. And because everyone else is doing it, it feels normal. Completely financially insane, but normal. But let's talk logistics. How do people fit these insane payments into their actual budgets? This is where things get creatively destructive. People rebuild their entire financial lives around their car payment. They move into smaller apartments. They take on roommates. They stop going on trips. They cut back on groceries. They skip savings. They skip investing. They skip retirement contributions. All so they can afford a car that consumes 25 to 30% of their take-home pay. Some even take on second jobs when driving Uber or DoorDash, using the very car they can't afford, burning gas they can't afford, to make the payment they couldn't afford in the first place. It becomes a bizarre loop where the car both drains your money and requires you to earn more money with the same car. And then there are the people who dip into their 401k, take personal loans, or refinance their home just to keep the car. Imagine borrowing from your future retirement to keep driving something that will be worth pennies in a few years. That's the level of desperation this trap creates. Families with multiple vehicles suffer even more. Many households now have dad's work truck, mom's SUV, a car for the teenager, maybe even a weekend car. Suddenly the family is managing 3 separate car loans, 3 insurance bills, 3 sets of tires, 3 sets of repairs today. It becomes a full-time job. And speaking of insurance, expensive vehicles mean expensive coverage. Comprehensive collision, gap insurance, higher liability limits, all of it adds up. Many households spend $6,000 a year on insurance alone. Then come repairs. Modern vehicles are incredibly complex. A simple brake job can run $800 to $1,200. Transmission issues, $5,000 plus. Engine problems, $10,000 or more. And guess what people with $1,000 car payments almost never have? An emergency fund, so repairs go straight onto credit cards, personal loans, or more debt. Then there's fuel. Big trucks and SUVs often get terrible mileage. With gas at $3 to $5 a gallon, a normal commute can easily cost $300 to $450 a month. More than entire car payments used to cost. Now let's look at the math of a real example. Imagine someone buys a $55,000 truck with a 7-year loan at 6% interest. Their payment works out to about $800 a month. Over the course of their loan, they'll pay around $67,000 total. Add insurance at $250 per month. That's another $21,000. Add fuel at $350 per month. That's over $15,000 more. Total cost over 7 years. More than $130,000 for transportation. And at the end, they own a vehicle worth maybe $15,000, and if they're lucky. That is not transportation. That is wealth destruction with heated seats. To make it worse, if they had simply invested that $800 per month into a basic index fund earning 8% annually, they'd have around $70,000 saved instead. In other words, the truck didn't just cost them money now, it cost them their future wealth too. But here's where the psychology gets even deeper. Once someone signs up for a massive car payment, they develop what I call automotive Stockholm syndrome. They begin to emotionally attach themselves to the thing that's draining their finances. The car becomes a symbol of identity, success, pride, adulthood. Suggesting they downgrade to something cheaper feels like telling them they're less valuable as a person. They get defensive, angry, embarrassed, ashamed, even though driving something cheaper would literally change their financial life. And guess who knows this better than anyone? Dealerships. They spend billions researching how to manipulate these emotions to close deals. They don't want you thinking about total cost, depreciation, or opportunity cost. They want you thinking about how you'll feel behind the wheel. Worried the payment is too high? No problem, let's extend the loan. Concerned about reliability? Here's an extended warranty. We'll finance that too. Nervous about depreciation? Oh, don't worry, you'll trade it in before that matters. Everything is scripted to keep you thinking emotionally, not logically. That's how ordinary people end up drowning in extraordinary car debt. So the next time you see someone driving a truck worth more than your entire house, remember this. There's a good chance they're going home to eat cereal for dinner because it's all they can afford after their payment clears. And suddenly, that reliable used car in your driveway looks a whole lot smarter.